Alright, so Love Live is a very unique franchise that has a very interesting history. And with the final live of Aqua approaching soon, I thought I'd do a video going through the entire history of Love Live, I guess.
He said it! He said it!
And don't get mad at me if I miss something. I had to compress 15 years into a single video. On May 29th, 2010, ASCII MediaWorks published the July 2010 issue of their Dengeki G's magazine. This is a magazine that revolves around mainly bishoujo games, anime, manga, and all sorts of other media. This issue debuted this image, which seemed to be an advertisement for something new, named Love Live School Idol Project. But people didn't know what this was. All they knew was that the magazine would be collaborating with the anime studio Sunrise and the music label Lantis for a brand new project. Readers of the magazine would express their interest and confusion by the announcement with some tweets from the time saying, "Love Live? Is this soon? What? Love Live? What is this?" My impression so far is that the girl from Love Live is drawn by the Xenoglacia team again after watching K-On! What are you planning to do, Lantis? Love Live's school idol project? I also found this tweet that may be the first ever tweet that's still up about Love Live that simply just says, Love Live. In the August issue of the same year, intrigued readers of the magazine would get their first look at what Love Live would be. Keep in mind that the issues for each month of this magazine are released a month prior to the month it's named after. So for example, the August issue was released at the end of June. This issue of the magazine gave everyone more details about the project, including the rest of the characters, the story, and what the project was planning to be. The original story was written by Sakurako Kimino, and the original character designs were drawn by Yuhei Murota. In the same month, a popularity contest was held for the characters, and during Summer Comic Cat 2010, they sold their first single titled Bokura no Life, Kimi to no Life, as a special limited edition which only sold 434 units when it initially released. This song was written by Akihata, and mostly all songs going forward in this franchise would be written by her too. In the November issue, they would announce three big things: the results of the popularity contest, the cast of voice actors that would be voicing the characters, and a submission for a name that the group would use. The results of the first popularity contest, from most to least popular, were Honoka, Umi, Nozomi, Rin, Nico, Maki, Hanayo, Ellie, and Kotori. Sorry, Kotori. Eminita voiced Honoka Kosaka, and she was basically an unknown up-and-coming 24-year-old singer at the time. And fun fact, her father actually purchased 10 of the original 434 copies of Bokura no Live, Kimi to no Live when it first released to support his daughter. Suzuko Mimori voiced Umi Sonoda. She started off singing for stage musicals in 2009, and she was a member of an idol group called Cutie Pie. Aya Uchida voiced Kotori Minami. Her career for Love Live consisted of just voice acting for anime. Sora Tokui voiced Nico Yazawa. She also started off her career as a voice actor for anime. Yoshino Nanjo voiced Ellie Ayase. She started off her career when she joined Fripside, a music duo, which by the way made huge songs that you probably recognize like Only My Railgun and Black Bullet. Aina Kusuda voiced Nozomi Tojo. She originally worked at a maid cafe, but was inspired to become a voice actress after she saw a stage performance by Junko Takeuchi, who's better known as the voice actor for Naruto, Gon, and
Mr. Beast!
Eriko Hori, also known as Pyle, voiced Maki Nishikino. She's half Japanese and half Korean, and debuted as a singer in 2007. And her stage name Pyle doesn't actually mean this pile, but instead she's named after Pyle Towels. Yurika Kubo voiced Hanayo Koizumi. She was originally a fashion model, and later became a gravure model before Love Live. Riho Ida voiced Rin Hoshizora. She started off her career as a kid, acting in movies and TV shows. She then moved on to modeling for magazines and released a photo book in 2003, which became the top selling in Japan. On a side note, don't you think it's slightly weird how a photo book focused on a 12 or 13-year-old girl in swimsuits was the top selling in Japan, or let alone exists in the first place? I'm not sure if it was the #1 best-selling in Japan, but to quote Wikipedia, it says, her first photo book, Pool, in 2003 became the top-selling photo book in Japan. But yeah, anyways, I'm not here to make problems out of random things like a Twitter user. I just thought it was kind of strange in my opinion. After submissions for the name of the group of these girls were opened, in the next month they narrowed it down to a vote of 5 names, being Muse, Otonokizaka no Neto, Live Star, Little Diamond, and Otonokizaka Idol Club. And if you know anything about Love Live, then you would know that Muse won as the name of the group, and this name was based off the 9 muses from Greek mythology. Throughout the months, they would release music in the first few months of next year, and they formed subunits within Muse, those being BB, Lily White, and Printemps. By the way, I think it's pronounced something else because it's French, but you know, French is a weird-ass language, so sorry for not pronouncing it right. They kept releasing more music, art, talk shows, and other things in the magazines until August of 2011, when they announced a manga adaptation. In September of 2011, they held a live broadcast where they would reveal that they would be holding their first live concert, and in the November issue of the magazine, the official announcement of the concert was revealed. In January of 2012, the manga adaptation named Love Live's School Idol Project was released. I'm skipping a lot of time here, but just know that things like art, music, cafe collabs, popularity contests, and many other minor things happened every month. On February 19th, 2012, Muse holds their first ever live concert, called Muse First Love Live. In the April issue, the anime adaptation for Love Live was announced to be released in 2013. In the November issue, they would announce the second live concert and give a sneak peek on the character designs for the anime, because it was pretty different from the art style they were using at the time. And in the next issue, they announced a game. On January 3rd, 2013, Muse holds their second live concert named Muse New Year Love Live 2013 in Japan's biggest stadium, Tokyo Dome. Unfortunately, Nanja wasn't there. Similarly to another event Muse attended in the previous year, this absence was due to the fact that Flipside, the music duo that she's in, had their 10th anniversary concert on the same day at almost the same time, and the Love Live management set everything up after Nanja was already booked for the Flipside concert. Between the first and second live, the audience picked up on changing their pen lights to orange during the chorus of Snow Halation, and this becomes a huge thing that is insanely prevalent in future Muse lives. 3 days after the second live, the anime Love Live School Idol Project starts airing, giving birth to countless memes, and is probably one of the most memed anime of its time, if not ever. In the March issue, they announced the novel series Love Live School Idol Diary, and in April they released the rhythm game Love Live School Idol Festival, which was developed by K-Lab and published by Bushiroad. Skipping through some more small events throughout the year, Honoka's School Idol Diary was released in May, and Muse had their third live in June. Throughout 2013, Love Live really started to pick up steam as a future top franchise, and they would release more merchandise like figures and games, and the rest of the characters' School Idol diaries. This franchise was starting to become inescapable in Japan, even having trains that were Love Live themed, and appearing on events on TV. This franchise would appear everywhere, even on my channel, which you should totally subscribe to. I don't know if that segue's good or not, but if you're enjoying the video so far, make sure to give it a like and subscribe. Anyways, back to the video. In 2014, Muse had their fourth live, and the second season of the anime was announced. Again, a bunch more minor stuff that I've already mentioned like live streams, merchandise, TV appearances, and other stuff happened throughout the year. But moving on to 2015, this was an extremely eventful year for the franchise. At the beginning of the year, Muse held their fifth live, and in February, they announced a continuation to the anime in the form of a movie, which would be ending off the anime's story. In the same month and issue of the magazine, they released a teaser with an unknown character, giving fans the same feeling they did when the franchise was first announced. Love Live fans across the world were intrigued, but also scared that they would announce a new group that would be replacing Muse. And spoiler alert, that's sorta what happened. Here are some fans' reactions at the time of the teaser. This Reddit user says, "I hope this is just going to be a side story cast to go along with the original cast, and not a replacement series. I understand they need to expand with new characters to stay relevant, since they can only do so much with the original Muse, but I hate to have part with the characters that you already formed a special connection with, and have to reacquaint with a new batch. I will probably retire, and rest on the memories of the original series if that happens." That's clearly Kasane. SIF anime spin-off, maybe? Love Live Sunshine was the name of this new project, and fans were split between skeptical and excited. After more was revealed like the characters and story, people were not convinced so quickly, and the fans were still not sure what to think. A part of the fanbase thought it was going to be a money grab, copy and paste after seeing the main character be another energetic orange hair character, and the story being the same thing, with the school closing down just like the original Love Live. It also didn't help that the seiyus were relatively new to the industry, so not many people could be happy about seeing recognizable faces in the project. Speaking of the seiyus, here's a brief little introduction on each of them. Anju Inami is the voice of Chika Takami, and she had a pretty solid career before her big break with Love Live. I think it could be due to the fact that all of the seiyus for Sunshine were around the same age as the seiyus for Muse, so they had more time to have a career, and were a bit older when they got into Love Live. Anju always wanted to be a voice actor, and she did have some roles in stage plays and anime. She was also a big fan of Love Live before being a part of it, and often you can see her fangirling over Emitsun. Shuka Saito is the voice of Yo Watanabe. Growing up, she took many dance classes, and after graduating high school, she attended an entertainment school and learned how to sing professionally. She was then cast for a lot of stage plays, going under a different name than she has now. Presumably, this is her real name, which I'm not going to share, but it is out there if you want to find it. Shuka came across Love Live from playing School Idol Festival, and she thought it was really cool, and she applied. And also, fun fact, a toaster fell on her head as a kid. Rikako Aida is the voice of Riko Sakurauchi. As a kid, she lived in LA for a few years, so she can speak pretty decent English.
Hello everyone! I'm Rikako Aira as Riko Sakurauchi.
After she moved back to Japan, she did child modeling and acting. She wanted to pursue a career in acting, and she did do some stage plays and voice acting roles until she auditioned for Love Live Sunshine. She also did go through several stage names, switching out her last name, most recently because there were several voice actresses with the same name. Arisa Komiya is the voice of Daya Kurosawa. She started her career in 2007 doing acting for films, shows, and stage plays, and she would go on to do modeling, specifically gravure modeling. She was probably the most well-known seiyuu in Sunshine prior to joining because of her role in Tokume Sentai Go Busters as Yoko Usami. Despite her nowadays being mostly known for Love Live, an idol franchise, she doesn't actually have much work in music or singing, and Love Live is kind of the outlier in her acting work. Aina Suzuki is the voice of Mario Ohara. Aina was someone who had always wanted to work in the anime industry when she was a kid, and when she was a bit older, she went through with it, training to become a voice actor. After her training, she actually got a lot of roles in anime and video games. Nanaka Suwa is the voice of Kana and Matsura. Suwa was only just starting her career before she got cast into Love Live. She had always knew that she wanted to become a voice actress, and she went on to fulfill that dream by attending a voice acting school when she was in middle school. She had a few roles in anime, but had her big break in Love Live not too long after starting her professional career. Kanako Takatsuki is the voice of Hanamaru Kunikida. Originally, she studied acting when she was younger, but she went more into music. She had a Nico Nico account as an utaite covering songs, and she made her debut as a singer in 2012. Aika Kobayashi is the voice of Yoshiko Tsushima. If you know anything about me, then you'll know that she's my Kamiyoshi, and I consider myself to be her biggest fan, so forgive me as I unload about her. Aika learned ballet and hip-hop dancing when she was in elementary school, and she always wanted to become a singer after getting inspired by J-pop artists she discovered when she was younger. Kyon debuted as a singer in 2011 at 17 years old, singing the opening to an anime called Freezing, and she would sometimes upload song covers onto YouTube. She actually went to school to become a preschool teacher, and if she never found success as a voice actor or singer, then that would have been the career path that she wanted to do. And there's even a video on her old YouTube channel of her singing to kids. Fun fact, she was actually interviewed by Kotori Seiyuu back when she released her song for Freezing to promote the series, and coincidentally, they both ended up being in Love Live years later. And I just gotta mention this, in 2024 I met her and it was the greatest day of my life. So, as I said, the reactions were mixed within the fanbase, and many people were still skeptical. Many fans didn't want their beloved muse that they've grown to love to get replaced out of nowhere by a cheap copy. Muse had achieved so much over these years, and fans were kind of so blinded by their love for them that they blindly hated and didn't even want to give Sunshine a chance. These girls got accepted into one of Japan's fastest growing franchises, and some of them were even huge fans of it themselves, but the excitement was also paired with the stress that they felt when seeing the fans being so stubborn about their debut. Anju was quoted to say during an event, "It was tough being underappreciated by a good chunk of the Love Live fanbase." And in an interview with My Girl magazine, she said, "All of us were put under quite a lot of pressure, and I'm sure everyone was nervous." A little after their announcement, on the 1st of June, they opened up submissions and voting for the name of the group for Love Live Sunshine, just like they did with Muse. Here's a list of contenders, but as we know, they chose this name, pronounced like the word Aqua for some reason. In September, Aqua announced their first song titled Kimi no Kokoro wa Kagayaiteru Kai, and it was released in early October. Also in September, they showcased a giant life-size version of School Idol Festival. Also, throughout 2015, Aqua made appearances at several events, including ones in Numazu, once a rural fishing village in Shizuoka, and now, still a rural fishing village in Shizuoka, but now has anime girls plastered all over it. If you don't know, they based the story of Love Live Sunshine in the city, and the whole city is packed with references to Aqua to this day. I also went there about a year ago, and I've been trying to find time to edit that vlog, but I still haven't, so feel free to bully me in the comments until I submit to actually releasing that. On the 5th of December 2015, Muse announced something big on a live stream. They were having their 6th live, but that's not all it was. It was also their final live. Reactions from fans were obviously and understandably heartbroken. The group that had built so many memories, the group that was Love Live, was going to disband. Was this the end of Love Live? But wait a minute. Wasn't there a group that was just announced earlier that year? So yeah, you can imagine that Aqua got more backlash than it was already getting from the talk about replacing Muse. But the backlash towards Aqua aside, fans of Love Live were heartbroken and devastated. But after the devastating announcement, they did release some more things for the franchise, like an arcade version of School Idol Festival, and trading cards. Aqua also had a bunch of things that Muse previously did, like diaries, manga, subunit votes, and their first popularity contest, which Yo won. This popularity poll had just shy of 60,000 votes, showing just how far Love Live has come. I didn't know where to include this, because I couldn't actually figure out when this happened, but Love Live Nesoberries were released. Nesoberries are a lying down plush of different anime characters made by Sega, and they became massively popular after Love Live. Nesos did exist before, but Love Live really catapulted their popularity, and most people think of Love Live when they think of Nesos. And the design for them was actually based on this scene with Nico's brother in Season 2 Episode 4 of the anime. These plushies would become a staple piece of merchandise in the Love Live community. Also, another thing that happened in 2015 that I don't really know when it actually happened specifically was when Muse got invited to a TV show, and this was a TV show for like the most popular artist of the year or something like that, and Justin Bieber was also on that show, so Justin Bieber meeting Muse is canon. In the next year, Muse held an overseas fan meeting tour in Shanghai in January, which I'm pretty sure, but I could be wrong, is the first time they did anything overseas. Aqua also did have many other firsts that same month, like their first live event and their first live stream. During that live stream, they announced that Love Live Sunshine would be getting an anime adaptation. One other thing that took place this month was the infamous live stream that had Rikako drawing an elephant. However, Rikako never put any skill points into art and drew the elephant completely wrong and goofy as hell, and this moment would go viral online and would become one of the biggest memes within the Love Live fanbase. The next month in February, Numazu opened up a gamer store, which is a franchise anime store, and Aqua was there at their grand opening on February 27th. The store also started a poll for who would be their mascot for the store there, and Yoshiko won, getting a specialized sign. Nowadays, the store is practically a Love Live store because when I went there, I don't think I saw a single thing that wasn't Love Live related. Like, I kinda feel bad for the residents who don't really care about Love Live, and this anime franchise store opened to practically exclusively selling Love Live merchandise. But to be fair, the store was opened with the purpose of selling Love Live stuff. Also, I guess I'll mention it now that I'm on the topic. The first floor of the multi-story gamer store in Akihabara is entirely Love Live themed. Also, in the same month, Aqua announced their second single, titled Koi ni Naritai Aquarium. On March 3rd, Muse released their final single, titled Moment Ring. In the same month, they did the second part of their overseas tour in Taipei, and at the end of March, on March 31st and April 1st, the dreaded day came where fans would see Muse perform one last time at their final live titled Muse Final Love Live, Music Forever. 8th note, 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 8th note. Fans from all across the world flocked to Tokyo Dome and tuned in online to watch Muse before they disappeared forever. And unfortunately, due to some knee injuries, Nanjo had to sit out about half of the live, only performing songs that Muse haven't performed live before. Remember what I said about the audience changing their pen lights to orange during the chorus of Snow Halation? Well, all 5 of the previous lives all led up to this, the very last chance to make it the biggest and most memorable time yet. As the word Todokete left Emitsun's mouth, Tokyo Dome glowed orange. And at the end of the live, they went out with Bokutachi no Hitotsu no Hikari, just like they did in the anime, putting an end to Muse's legacy. Spoiler warning, this isn't the last you'll see of Muse. Side note, I watched the performance of their last song to research for this video, and I genuinely bawled my eyes out like a little baby. And I also just found out while I was almost done researching for this video, that all of Aqua actually attended the Muse final live. On April 1st, a now well-known tradition began, in the form of April Fool's jokes. The first ever joke for this holiday from Love Live was a simple prank to the players of School Idol Festival, where the hit sounds on the notes would be replaced with alpaca noises. Throughout April and May, news for Love Live Sunshine's anime was released, and Aqua made an appearance at the School Idol Festival Thanksgiving Festival 2016, playing that big SIF. Their second single was also released, and Icon went to Numazu Gamers and was given the title of Honorary Store Manager of the Day to celebrate Yoshiko being the mascot girl of the store. Just look at how cute she is. You can't tell me that she's not literally Yoshiko IRL. Again, skipping over some more releases of random things, in July on the 2nd, Aqua had their first overseas event where 6 of the members, Anchan, Rikako, Suawa, Arisha, Kinchan, and Furirin, were guests at Anime Expo's Anisong World Matsuri, and on the same day, Love Live Sunshine started airing on TV, and 8 days later, the second years were guests at an event in Singapore. Over on the Muse side of things, it was basically nothing, obviously due to the fact that they were basically retired at this point. At the end of the month, Aqua had an event in Nuazu called Love Live Sunshine, Aqua Summer Holidays, Extracurricular Activities, Summer Festival with Everyone, as a celebration for the anime, and I think they even performed at that event. They also announced information for their first live at that event. In August, Anchan, Aikan, and Aina made guest appearances at an event in Taiwan, and a week later, Kinchan and Furi made guest appearances at an event in Thailand. In September, Aqua were guests at Tokyo Game Show 2016. Kyon, Shuka, and Arisha made guest appearances at an event in mainland China. In December, Rikako, Kinchan, and Aina made appearances in South Korea. And Love Live released Love Live School Idol Festival After School Activity, which was an arcade version of SIF. And at the end of the year, on the 27th of December, Aqua performed at a mini live in celebration of the Christmas-themed song Jingle Bells Ga Tomaranai. In 2017, fans who were still hoping for Muse's return would unfortunately not get their prayers answered. While the characters still got merch, appeared in promotional material, and were not forgotten from the franchise, they very much did disband, and they had no events. Unless they did, and I just completely skipped over in my research. However, 2017 was the year of Aqua. At the end of February, on the 25th and 26th, Aqua had their first ever live concert. After the last year and a half of Aqua doing so much for the franchise, they finally got to prove their talent in their first event in Yokohama Arena. Over that year and a half, Aqua proved themselves to so many doubters and haters that they were just as capable as Muse. And now with their first live, and with so many eyes on them from around the world, they could do it on the big stage. Even though they did have a lot of skeptical people who refused to support them, they had even more fans that would support them. And if you don't believe me, just look at the crowds on both days, filling the 17,000 seat venue. Now, after this live, even some of the haters saw Aqua and changed their minds about them. One of the biggest, most iconic, and most memorable things came out of this live, which was Rikako's piano incident. And this is heavy, so be warned. You see, Omoi yo Hitotsu ni Nare is one of Aqua's songs featured in the anime. This was performed without Riko, since she had a whole arc with her going to a piano competition. When the seiyus performed this song in the first live, they also performed it just like in the anime, but with Rikako playing the piano. The thing is, Rikako was not a pianist like her character, and in fact, she didn't know how to play the piano at all prior to this live. She went out of her way to learn the piano for a couple months just for this performance. Now, you can probably see where I'm going with this. On day one of the concert, you can see that Rikako was clearly nervous, but in the end, she got through it well. However, on day 2, it was a completely different story, one that would go down in history as one of the most important moments in Love Live history. She begins to play the piano like she did on the previous day, likely feeling less nervous because she did it flawlessly the day prior. Then, a couple seconds in, she presses the wrong note and you can see her instantly start panicking as the camera zooms in on her. The crowd cheers for her to encourage her, and the staff resumes the music, hoping to brush past it, but Rikako was already panicking too much, and she keeps playing wrong notes until the music stops again. You can see the rest of Aqua's confusion, and they keep dancing for a few seconds thinking something malfunctioned, until they realize what actually happened. The camera cuts to Rikako in tears, as Anju, Aina, and Suawa run up to go comfort her. As she has a panic attack, the 3 girls console her while the rest of the girls don't really know what to do in this situation. And you can even see Kyon having her own semi-panic attack, and I think she even starts crying a bit. You can see Anju thinking quickly with her grabbing water and a towel for her, and she consoles her while you can literally see this whole positive aura around her, reminding me much of her character, Chika. As the crowd starts chanting her name, and the other 2 girls reassure her, she starts to calm down a bit, and they restart the song. Even during the song, you can see Rikako is still super anxious, trying not to mess up again. At the end of the song, you can see her hands shaking so much, even down to when she played the very last note. The whole time, the audience's pen lights stay pink for Rikako, and they even chant her name after the song ends too. Rikako then goes backstage to calm down her nerves, and the rest of Aqua continue as planned. After this live, this song wasn't performed for the next year and a half, possibly due to the fact that Rikako still has trauma from this incident. Personally, this is one of the few things in this franchise that I just can't bear to watch. Rikako even spoke about how she didn't want to touch a piano again due to the trauma that it caused her, but recently, I think about a month ago, she posted a video on her YouTube channel of her playing the piano. Wow, I could have summarized that, but I decided to go into full detail just because of how important I think this moment is to the franchise. A couple days after the first live, some more info was released, including the second season of the anime and the announcement of their second live, along with a bunch of other things. On March 30th, Love Live teased a new project by the name of Perfect Dream Project. This new project had to do with the popularity poll that SIF held, asking players to vote for their favorite N rarity character, which Emma Verde won first place, Shizuku Osaka won second place, and Kanata Konoe won third place. The teaser that was revealed had these 3 characters in silhouettes, along with the previous 2 groups. Along with the 3 characters from the SIF app, Dengeki Online and Famitsu app also had 3 girls each. which all acted as 3 groups doing their own activities. In the middle of March, at the 11th Seiyuu Awards, Aqua actually won the singing award, proving again that they weren't just a cheap replacement of Muse. On the 1st of April, Lantis, Love Live's record label, released Aqua's first April Fool's joke, being a special 15-minute live-action movie. But instead of any actors playing in the live-action, it turned out to be puppets that were voiced by the seiyus. They also had a joke in School Idol Festival, where you can pull for cards of all the animal characters from the anime, including Shiitake, the alpacas, and Uchichi. At the end of April, middle of May, and end of June, Aqua performed as guests for different events, the latter being in Los Angeles, California. On the same day as the performance in LA, Aqua also launched Aqua Club, which was announced in April earlier that year. The day it was launched being June 30th, a special day for Love Live. Aqua Club is a fan club for Aqua that comes with many benefits like extra content, exclusive merchandise, and early access to events. You are able to join the club by purchasing the Aqua Club CD that would give you a serial code to join the club. This club would go on for the rest of Aqua's activities and would reset every year. In July, Aqua were guests at an event in China, and later in the month, they were guests at the Numazu 70th Summer Festival. In the beginning of August, Aqua started their Happy Party Train tour, which was their second live. This tour had 3 lives that took place in early and late August and late September. On the 21st of September, Anchan and Emitsun, along with the entire cast of Perfect Dream Project, were guests at Tokyo Game Show 2017, and they shared some news. This also proved that Muse wasn't fully gone. The biggest announcement at this event was that they're going to be releasing a new game. The game was a whole new different project from the original SIF, with some of the biggest features being the story and 3D models. Along with the announcement of the game, they also announced the official name of Perfect Dream Project, being Love Live Nijigasaki High School Club. The group of Nijigasaki was different from the first 2 groups, and was originally only intended to be for the game All-Stars, and it also operated a little differently, with it not technically being a group in the story, and instead they're all solo idols, making it sort of a spin-off group. By the way, the announcement for this group was not met with as much hostility and closed-mindedness as Aqua was, because Aqua already took the blow for any future announcements of that sort. And here's a little introduction for the cast of Nijigasaki. Aguri Onishi is the voice of Ayumu Uehara. She had an acting and modeling career when she was a teenager, starring in a drama called Junior High Diaries, and she was also in an idol group called X21, and in 2017 she began voice acting. Mayu Sagara is the voice of Kasumi Nakasu. Her career before Love Live was only a handful of roles in anime. Kaori Maeda is the voice of Shizuku Osaka. Her career was also just getting started around the time that she got casted for Love Live. She was in a band in high school and she started voice acting in 2016. And fun fact about her is that she's the shortest seiyuu in all of Love Live at 147 centimeters or 4 feet 10. Miyu Kubota is the voice of Karin Asaka. In 2012, she auditioned for an idol group which later became Iris. In 2013, she started voice acting for anime, and she had her first big role in 2014 in the anime Puri Para. Fun fact about her is that she's literally forklift certified since she got a license to operate one when she was in high school. Natsumi Murakami is the voice of Ai Miyashita. She was inspired to become a voice actor in middle school, and she went to several schools to study voice acting while she was still in middle school. She then debuted as a voice actor in the anime Aikatsu Stars in 2016. Akari Kito is the voice of Kanata Konoe. She was the member of her school's light music club because she really liked K-On!, but she actually wanted to make a career as an illustrator. But in 2014, she moved to Tokyo to become a voice actor. Tomori Kusunoki was the voice of Setsuna Yuki. As a kid, she liked music a lot, taking piano lessons at just 3 years old, being in a band in middle school, and being a member of her high school's light music club. She was then inspired to become a voice actor in high school. In 2017, she made her debut as a voice actor, and by the next year she was already getting huge roles, including Setsuna in Love Live. Maria Sashide is the voice of Emma Verde. Maria had a passion for theater, but she decided to go into voice acting as she got older. She had a very minor voice acting role in an anime before getting cast as Emma. Chiemi Tanaka is the voice of Rina Tennoji. Like the others, she was inspired to start voice acting after watching anime. She also had a couple roles in anime before she was cast as Rina. In October, Love Live released the Terra Jumbo Chica Nesso Berry. Nessos have had a lot of different sizes that customers could buy, but this one dwarfed all the others in size. This Nesso was over 100 centimeters in size, and would start at the price of 19,800 yen, or around $180 at the time. Over time, they would release a Terra Jumbo Nesso of the rest of Aqua and Muse, with them now selling secondhand for 100,000 to 200,000 yen, or around $1,000 today. In November, Aqua started an event named Aqua Club Activities Live and Fan Meeting. This event had Aqua touring around Japan, performing and holding fan meets with fans. They then also did the same event overseas in some other Asian countries over the course of a couple months. Throughout the rest of 2017, Aqua had a lot of performances for the aforementioned tour, and were also guests at various events. On January 10th, 2018, Shuka became Numazu's honorary police chief for 30 minutes to promote an event celebrating Japan's Emergency Number Day. On January 28th, 3 seiyus from each of the 3 groups appeared at an event together to promote All-Stars. The following month, some other things happened, like the conclusion of the Aqua Club activity, live and fan meeting with you, and also Kin-chan was a special guest at an event in Thailand. But something else happened in January. Something awful. During the fan meeting tour, Aqua went overseas, and the performance I want to focus on is the one in Shanghai, China. Now remember how I said that Rikaku's piano incident was one of the few things from the franchise that's incredibly hard for me to watch? Well, this is another one, and let me warn you, it's way worse. Love Live has done shows outside of Japan plenty times now, so what could go wrong? Well, a lot actually. Firstly, we need some background information. The first destination of the overseas tour was in Seoul, South Korea, and the fans had planned something very special for this live. They had 2 interactive penlight plans named Yoso Road for Koini Naritai Aquarium and Kanan Rail for Happy Party Train. The plan was simple. Just hold up your penlight at a certain time during the chorus, and it'll form a shape within the lights, basically like how Muse did with Snow Halation. The fans had planned this for all 3 of the overseas performances in Seoul, Shanghai, and Taipei. But there's always reasons why we can't have good things. You see, there's this term called yakai that refers to people who are purposefully disruptive during idol performances to ruin the mood, and you can probably see where I'm going with this. In Shanghai, during both the Yoso Road and Kanan Rail, a huge portion of the audience was there to sabotage it by bringing ultra-orange light sticks and flailing them around to make as much of a disturbance as possible. Now, if your brain is smooth and you can't understand why this is a bad thing, let me break it down with all the reasons. Firstly, these people paid for the live, taking not only spots from actual fans who would have enjoyed the live, but also ruining the experience for the other fans. And you know who they also ruined the experience for? My second point. It was insanely distracting and bright, and it threw off Aqua themselves. You can even hear it during the chorus of Happy Party Train that Suawa's voice starts trembling. It's really hard to watch and listen to, but here's the clip. And my third point that ties everything together. The fans wanted to do something to show their appreciation towards Aqua, and these people come in here and ruin it, and causing some lasting trauma for some or all of Aqua. And that wasn't even it either. During some of the slower and more quiet songs, the Yakai people decided to yell and chant, ruining it even more for everyone. Now, I'm about to jump scare you like Freddy Fazbear with a crazy sentence. That wasn't the worst thing that happened. You heard me right. Ruining the performance for literally everyone involved was the second worst thing that happened at that live. So, what was the worst? You see, every member of Aqua had a box that fans could place gifts in. But, of course, people had to ruin that too. Some people placed 18+ dojins inside, which you could be like, oh, that's not even that bad. Well, even if the seiyus don't care about that kind of stuff, it's still insanely disrespectful to put something like that at a public event. And I'm sure you probably didn't guess that it keeps getting worse. The people also left ads for prostitution agencies, and one thing that was the absolute worst. I invite you, dear viewer, to just guess what could be even worse than every single thing I've mentioned so far. What do you think could have been left in these gift boxes that it was so bad that I'm blueballing to tell you for this long? Do you think it could have been something dirty, or some hateful words, or perhaps even a bomb? Well, actually, that's probably the only thing that could have been worse, but luckily it wasn't a fucking bomb. But I'm assuming that you probably didn't guess that they left bottles of actual semen. My only hope is that the staff at the event checked and threw out all the stuff that was harmful. Even if they did though, there's no way they could have filtered out any hateful letters, so that just really sucks to know. There's also something that I didn't mention. Apparently, during the Shanghai performance, they supposedly did have a successful Yoso Road, but the same exact thing also did happen in the previous live in South Korea, but just not to the same extent. The Yoso Road and Kanan Rail did work out to some extent, but they were just tainted a little with the orange pollution. And you can also hear Suwawa's voice quiver in this one too, which I'm not going to show you because you already get the idea with the one I showed earlier. Although nothing was officially said by Aqua or staff to avoid controversy, you can tell it left a huge impact on the members of Aqua, especially Suwawa, who didn't even post any thank you messages after the incident. Luckily, in the third performance in Taipei, there were a lot better restrictions put in place. On April 1st, something was discovered. A titan appeared in Uchiura Beach. A titan that was Chika Nesoberry shaped. For April Fools, staff created the hyper-fabulous Ultimate Jumbo Nesoberry EX and placed it outside of Chika's house as a landmark for the day. The next day, the Neso was gone and never seen again. And like previous years, School Idol Festival had a prank too, which was letting the players pull for kid versions of the characters. Later that month, Love Live released a game that they've been teasing for a while called Puchiguru Love Live. This was a mobile game that was sort of similar to the Disney Tsum Tsum game that was popular at the time, but instead with Love Live Nesoberries. On April 27th and 28th, they held the Hakodate Unit Carnival, a live that was focused on the subunits rather than the whole group. One of these subunits that attended was Saint Snow, who if you don't know is the rival group to Aqua in the anime. Although technically Saint Snow is actually a full group and not a subunit, this was their first appearance in a live. On June 9th, Aqua began their third live, which was a tour in 3 cities, Saitama, Osaka, and Fukuoka. Aqua would shock the fans with one big song, that being Miracle Wave. This was a song performed in the anime with a very interesting choreography. In the anime, Chika spends a whole episode never backing down and never giving up to learn the choreography that includes a cartwheel and a backflip. Fans would wonder how, or even if, Aqua would perform this song in real life. To everyone's surprise, they would actually perform the fully accurate choreography to the anime with Anchan doing the flip and everything. Fans were hype the first day, but something would happen. On the second day, Anju performed the flip, but she couldn't complete it all the way, and she ended up failing it and landing on her knees. As soon as this happens, you can see a mixture of reactions from the other members. Shuka was already continuing, Rikako and Kinchan were worried for Anchan, but saw Shuka continue and decided to get up too, and you can see Aikan and Furirin's horrified faces as they internally contemplate whether Anchan is hurt or if they should keep going. As it cuts to the other members, they all see Anchan get up, so they continue. Luckily, she wasn't seriously hurt, and as the song ends and the crowd cheers for her, she apologizes to the audience and laughs it off. This incident was followed by 4 perfect flips in the following shows for the rest of the tour, and it wasn't as big as an incident as it could have been if she landed on the wrong place or lost control. In between their third live, Aqua had a live called Aqua World Love Live in LA Beyond the Pacific in Los Angeles as a part of Anime Expo's Anisong World Matsuri 2018. This was big since it was actually the first ever full-length concert outside of Japan in Love Live's history. Aqua was just going to perform like they had many times, but unbeknownst to them, the fans were conspiring to make this one of the most memorable concerts that they'll ever perform, and in a good way this time. In preparation for the live, a team was formed that came up with the plan named Aqua Rainbow. The name is much more clever when it's written down, and it's kinda awkward to say out loud because of how stupidly Aqua is pronounced. Anyways, the plan was simple. They wanted each section of the audience to use a certain color on their pen lights to form a rainbow. The team would make social media posts informing the attendees of the event about the project, and at the event, they handed out flyers to people attending. During the performance of Yuki wa Doko ni Kimi no Mune ni, the crowd executed the plan, and it was successful. You can just feel how much this affected and how much this meant to Aqua during the song. After the live, you can see some members making references to the project in their tweets thanking everyone. Suowa even wrote a tweet in English that says, "Thank you for show us great rainbow. We had wonderful time. I hope to see you all again. Arigato." Unfortunately, for some reason, staff decided to not make it available for people to watch this live, even though they recorded it. In September, Nijigasaki were guests at Tokyo Game Show 2018, and in November, they released their first album by the name of Tokimeki Runners, which was also the name of their first song. Also in November, Aqua held their 4th live. Man, 2 lives in 1 year? Those fans were eating good back then. Now remember what I said about Omoi yo Hitotsu ni Nare not being performed for a long time? Well, they finally decided to bring it back during this live, but something was different. Besides the fact that they were wearing the outfits for the song from the anime, and it's like one of my favorite concert outfits of all time. But anyways, at first, it starts how it did back then. You can see the nerves that Rikako has as she walks up to the piano and starts playing. You can tell that they're paying homage to the original incident, and that's especially clear when Rikako suddenly stops playing, turns to the rest of Aqua, and walks away from the piano. The song suddenly goes into an extended piano solo as Rikako walks down the stairs and starts tearing up, and the rest of Aqua walks towards her. They all gather together, and the song starts, revealing that they changed the choreography to include Rikako as the center as a sign of her past with the song back in the first live. You can see how much this means to Rikako and how she looks like she's holding back her emotions throughout the performance. Rikako later revealed that she was nervous for this performance, not only because of the obvious reason of what happened and the effect that it had on her, but also her worry of it disappointing the fans that wanted it to be accurate to the anime. As they're talking to the audience after the song ends and Rikako mentions Omoi yo Hitotsu ni Nare, she nervously looks at the crowd, and when she hears their immense support, you can see how relieved she is. She then talks about how staff and Aqua worked very hard to change the song for her, and she thanked them while getting emotional. And Anju, being the leader that she is, reassures Rikako that it's okay, and how she thinks the song is better when it's performed with all 9 members, just like how she comforted Rikako during the initial incident. In 2019, Love Live released Love Live Sunshine, the school idol movie Over the Rainbow, putting an end to Aqua's anime. From late March to late April, Aqua had another fan meeting tour around Asia, returning to the exact cities that caused so much trouble in the previous year. But luckily for everyone, they didn't experience nearly as many issues, and the tour went mostly smoothly. The April Fool's joke for 2019 consisted of several small things, like a quiz you could take that had a bunch of nonsensical questions. The Aqua Club website got a design change, which honestly still looks better than 99% of Japanese websites. And in School Idol Festival, they combined the last 2 years' pranks, and they had an event to pull for cards of the characters as kids in animal costumes. After only slightly a year of it being released, Puchiguru Love Live shut down its servers, which wouldn't be the last time a Love Live mobile game was shut down. In June, Aqua had their 5th live, and Nijigasaki had a lot of live broadcasts throughout the year too. In July, Aqua had another concert in LA named Aqua World Love Live in LA, Brand New Wave. This was a normal overseas concert until their performance of Brightest Melody. During the song, a 7.1 magnitude earthquake hit the city, and you wanna guess what happened? They kept fucking performing flawlessly through the earthquake. It was only until after the song that they took a break to check for injuries and damages, and luckily no one was hurt. Love Live School Idol Festival All-Stars was finally released in September. On December 14th and 15th, Nijigasaki had their first ever live in Musashino Forest Sports Plaza. During the second day, they also announced that Nijigasaki would be getting an anime adaptation. And there's also this really wholesome video of the Nijigasaki cast reacting to the news of their anime adaptation. On January 18th and 19th, in the Saitama Super Arena, they held what was known as the series' 9th anniversary Love Live Fest, which was a concert to celebrate the 9th anniversary of the franchise. This concert included everyone from Aqua, Nijigasaki, Saint Snow, and Muse, which was the first time Muse ever performed since their final live. Unfortunately, Arise, Muse's rival group, didn't perform since they never really had any activity outside of the anime, but apparently they were actually in the audience enjoying the show like a fan. Because of the pandemic, activities from the franchise did slow down a bit, but there were still a lot of important events that happened. Like in January, where they announced Love Live Superstar, the franchise's 4th group. In February, All Stars would be released globally, and in March, Muse released their first single after disbanding, named A Song for You, 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 along with an animated music video and PV, which just continues where we left off in the anime, and Honoka even breaks the 4th wall to greet the audience. In February, we also had a controversy involving a collaboration Aqua did with a farming organization named JA Nansun, with Chika as the mascot. The whole thing was that they had a banner with promotional art of Chika, but many people, fans of Love Live and not, thought that the way they drew her skirt was way too revealing because the skirt was too short and it looked like it was vacuum tight or see-through. Now, in my last video about Love Live, I mentioned how I agreed with the criticism of this, but I just want to clear something up real quick. While I do think that it's pretty different from how Chika is supposed to be drawn, and they probably shouldn't have done that, especially from a mostly family-friendly franchise, I didn't know that a lot of the criticism came from those chronically online Twitter lunatics, and I definitely don't agree with any of them on that. My whole thing is that they probably shouldn't have done that, but it really wasn't a big deal in the grand scheme of things, and it shouldn't really have been such a big controversy. But eventually, staff of Love Live or JA Nansun heard the criticism and removed the banner. On April 1st, a song and music video for the song Sayazelia Kiss Da Dan Dan by Sayazelia Kiss was released. And you might be wondering, who the hell is Sayazelia Kiss? Well, they're a group of 9 heroes from an unknown year who aren't Aqua. The name is a combination of the 3 subunits from Aqua, but this group isn't Aqua. Additionally, School Idol Festival collabed with Powerpuff Girls, which I think is pretty cool. In May, some more info about Love Live Superstar was revealed, like the school name, which had the fans vote for, and the cast of 5 characters, which also would be the first time a Love Live group would have less than 9 characters, and all of the members were first years too. On August 2nd, the character Shioriko joined Nijigasaki, being the first time a character joined a group after its debut, and also making Nijigasaki the first Love Live group to not have 9 members. Shioriko is voiced by Moeka Koizumi. Her family was into music, so growing up, she was exposed to it a lot. In 2014, she won the grand prize in the singing and voice actor category at the Muse Audition Festival, and since 2017, she's been casted in a lot of big franchises like Revue Starlight, D4DJ, and of course, Love Live. From mid to the end of August, voting would start for the group name of the Love Live Superstar Girls, and on September 15th, it was revealed out of the 16 choices that the winner was Liella. Aqua's 6th live was announced for September with the name Dome Tour 2020, but due to the pandemic, it was cancelled and replaced with Aqua Online Love Live, Lost World, which took place in Tokyo Dome and was only viewable online. During this live, Sai Azalea Kiss also made their first live appearance, who, by the way, still aren't Aqua. This took place in October, and a month prior, Nijigasaki had their second live, which was also exclusively online with no physical audience. And in December, the seiyus for Liella were revealed. Sayuri Date is the voice of Kanon Shibuya. When she was a kid, she always had a dream to become a voice actor, and she was actually a big fan of Love Live when she was in elementary school. Love Live was actually the beginning of her career, because the auditions for Love Live Superstar actually opened when she was in high school, and she decided to take part in it. She also has a famous uncle, who's the comedian Mikio Date. Liu is the voice of Kuku Tang. Originally, she started cosplaying while in high school, and became a pretty well-known cosplayer, even attending events. She also started singing around the same time, and just posted songs online. After graduating high school, she would make her debut as a professional singer. Now, Love Live has had a few mixed seiyus, including Pyle, who's half Korean, Icon, who's a quarter Korean, and Liu's groupmate Peyton, who's half white. But Liu's actually the first and only non-Japanese seiyu in the franchise, with her being from Shanghai, China. She talked about how she learned Japanese because she was really into anime songs when she was younger, so she started studying by herself, and eventually took classes. And she also claims she can't speak English. In English?
Can you speak in English? No, I can't. Sorry.
Naomi Peyton is the voice of Sumire Heiana. When she was in elementary school, Peyton was a big fan of Pretty Cure, and it made her very interested in the job of voice acting, and she was also a fan of AKB48, which gave her the dream of being an idol. Although she was bullied in school because of this dream, and the fact that she's mixed because Japanese kids are really racist for some reason. She started training to be an idol and a voice actor in high school, and she auditioned for an upcoming mixed media franchise called Baton Relay. In 2020, she debuted as a voice actress in Baton Relay, which, fun fact, Anju's also in. But the game shut down only 4 months after it released, and it seems like the franchise was a failure. Peyton also changed her stage name to Ifu Otogine, but changed it back a month later. And fun fact, she was still 17 when she joined Liella. Nako Misaki is the voice of Chisato Arashi. When she was in middle school, she played School Idol Festival and became a fan of the franchise, which inspired her to become a voice actor. And she particularly liked Miborin. After she graduated high school, she went to college for voice acting, and Chisato was her first big role after going into the industry. Nagisa Aoyama is the voice of Ren Hazuki. Her career before Love Live was sparse despite being the second oldest of the 5. One notable thing though is that she won a beauty contest when she was in college, and she was actually also a fan of Love Live because she was introduced to it by her cousin. In October, Nijigasaki's anime started airing, which also had its first main character that wasn't an idol. In December, Aqua released a video of them singing Jingle Bells ga Tomaranai in collaboration with Universal Studios, where for some reason they also had minions performing with them. In 2021, there were some other concerts, like Nijigasaki's 3rd live, Aqua's 5th anniversary live, which was streamed online, subunit lives, and a whole bunch of other smaller events. This year was mostly Liella and Nijigasaki focused, because by this point, Aqua was slowing down their activities. The April Fool's joke for this year again consisted of several small things, including a video where Nijigasaki characters got turned into cats, School Idol Festival collaborating with Cran Shinchan, and the official Love Live website got changed to sort of a galactic theme, including a minigame titled Aqua vs. Aliens. In July, Love Live Superstar's animation started airing, and at the end of August, 2 more characters were added into Nijigasaki, an American named Mia and a Hong Konger named Lanju. And fun fact, these members were actually leaked by a merchandise listing, which showed all of Nijigasaki, including the then unannounced characters. Shu Uchida is the voice of Mia Taylor. Shu watched a lot of anime when she was growing up in Australia, and this inspired her to become a voice actor. She used to save up money to fly to Japan for voice acting auditions, and she moved to Japan alone in 2014 to attend voice acting school without going to university. And she had some big roles, most notably the character Warspite in Kantai Collection. Akina Homoto is the voice of Lanju Zhong. Homin or Minmin grew up between China and Japan because her father wanted her to learn Chinese, which is her mother's language. When she graduated from high school, she moved to Tokyo alone with 100,000 yen to pursue her dream of becoming a voice actor, and luckily it worked out. In late October, Liella also had their first live, which was a tour that lasted from October to January. In December, Aqua held their first in-person concert since 2019, named Aqua Extra Love Live Dreamy Concert 2021. At the end of the year, the franchise held a concert including all of the active groups to celebrate the new year named Countdown Love Live 2021 to 2022, Live with a Smile. Unfortunately, Muse didn't make another return at this live though. They also released the song Live with a Smile for this live, which was the first song to be sung by multiple main groups, with it having vocals from every single member of Aqua, Nijigasaki, and Liella. In January, Liella finished off their first tour. In February, Nijigasaki had their 4th live, and throughout the year, Leela had a couple other concerts like their fan meeting tour. In February, another project was released that would be focusing on virtual school idols. On the 1st of April, they released a trailer for an anime that had Yoshiko as the protagonist for a fantasy spin-off of Love Live called Yohane the Perihelion, Sunshine in the Mirror, or in Japanese, Genjitsu no Yohane, which was teased a bit in the magazines before. Obviously, this was meant to be an April Fool's joke, but the animation was super high effort. Yoshiko was not the only one to get a spin-off series as the protagonist though, because Setsuno had a live-action movie announced based on the light novel Crimson Sword Princess, which didn't exist, and was actually based off a light novel seen in the anime. The last joke for 2022 was another spin-off for Nijigasaki called Chibigasaki, planned for April 1st of 2099. What's interesting about this year's April Fool's jokes is that all of them would become real, and you'll see what I mean later on. On the same day, School Idol Festival did have a collaboration with Code Geass, but I don't think it was meant to be an April Fool's joke. Later in April, Nijagasaki's 2nd anime season started airing, and Love Live announced that 4 new members would be joining Leela, and they would be part of the anime's 2nd season, which would begin airing in July. These characters would become known as Gen 2, which consists of Kinako, Shiki, Mei, and Natsumi. Nozomi Suzuhara is the voice of Kinako Sakura Koji. She was always a fan of idols since she was in elementary school, being a fan of groups like AKB48. She also became a big fan of anime and manga, and as a result she found Love Live and watched it on TV. She actually attended a lot of the concerts, and she was even at the Love Live Fest in 2020. Wakana Okuma is the voice of Shiki Wakana. She learned about voice actors when she was a kid watching Hunter x Hunter. When she was in high school, she studied art and acting. Like a lot of the other members of Leela, this was her first big role. Akane Yabushima is the voice of Mei Yoneme. She became interested in voice acting in middle school after watching Fate Stay Night, and a few years later, she entered a voice acting school. Again, she had a couple small roles in some anime, but Love Live was her first big role. Aya Emori is the voice of Natsumi Onitsuka. Being the 2nd youngest member of Leela, she doesn't actually have too much information online about her career before joining Love Live, but she was a member of the idol group Hakoeri Musume. These new members actually created some controversy within the fanbase, because many people liked the dynamic of only having 5 characters in Leela, so people were a bit disappointed that they went back to the traditional 9 members. In June, Aqua held their 6th live, which was originally planned for 2020, but was replaced with the online lives that year, and delayed to 2022. During the 2nd day of the concert, iKan actually performed Meimei Tante Yohane, which wasn't even released at the time, and this was the only time a song debuted at a concert like this. It was also confirmed that the April Fool's joke from earlier in the year would actually become an official spin-off project, and the anime adaptation was officially confirmed. In August, Aqua released a song titled Banzai Digital Trippers, which was a collab with Hatsune Miku. In September, Nijigasaki had their 2nd live in the year, being their 5th live. Some other big announcements also released this month, like the sequel to School Idol Festival 2, Nijion the Animation, which was an anime spin-off of the manga, and the 2nd new project in this year called School Idol Musical. In November, it was announced that Tomori Kusunoki, the voice of Setsuna Yuki, would be retiring from her role due to health issues. She revealed that she had been diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which was a genetic condition that basically makes the skin, tissues, and organs fragile, which means that it wouldn't be healthy for her to perform on stage. She announced that she would be retiring from Love Live at the end of March 2023, making this the first and hopefully last time something like this happened within the franchise. Also, around the same time, staff had a bit of a scandal where they had to publicly apologize for using a cafe's likeness in the Love Live Superstar anime. Throughout the rest of the year, the special subunit YYY, which was formed from the 3 hosts of Aqua's radio show, released their first single titled YYYYYY. And Leela's 3rd concert began in November, Superstar's 3rd season was announced, and School Idol Musical had their first show in December. In January, Nijigasaki had a unit live, the Nijion anime started airing, and School Idol Musical had their 2nd show. Something else big also happened in January. Unfortunately, after 9 years in service, School Idol Festival was announced to shut down its servers on March 31st. Reactions were understandably upset, since this was a game that many of the fans had memories with, spent lots of money on, and was the reason that a lot of them even found the franchise in the first place. Over the following months, Aqua also had some extra Love Lives to celebrate Valentine's Day and White Day. On February 10th, the cast for their new virtual school idol project, Link-like Love Lives group, Hasuno Sora, was revealed, and in April their game launched. Nina Hanamiya is the voice of Kozue Otomune. As a kid, she was big into music, and when she was in middle school she got into Love Live, and she especially liked Ellie from Muse. She actually auditioned for Love Live Superstar, but was unsuccessful. But it was her dream to be a part of the Love Live franchise, so she attended a voice acting school, which led to her getting accepted into Hasuno Sora. Kotoko Sasaki is the voice of Suzuri Yugiri. When she was a kid, she found out about the idol group Nogizaka 46, and she auditioned and joined it in 2013. She did do some voice acting stuff, but being in Nogizaka 46 was basically her biggest thing, up until she graduated from it in 2020. Konosukine is the voice of Megumi Fujishima. When she was a kid, she attended a Muse concert with her dad, and it led to her becoming a fan. She was also a child actor during this time. When she was in high school, she auditioned for Love Live Superstar, but again, she didn't make it in. Kokona Nonaka is the voice of Sayaka Murano. In 2017, she joined the management company Amuse, and in 2018, she joined the idol group Sakura Gakuin. And in 2022, she had a lead voice acting role in the anime Onipan. Kana Kan is the voice of Rurino Osawa. I'm pretty sure she actually started her career with Love Live, so there isn't much info for what she did prior. On March 25th, it was revealed that Koko Hayashi would be replacing Tomori Kusunoki as the seiyuu for Setsuna, and on the 31st, Tomori officially retired from the role. As the new voice of Setsuna, here's a bit about Koko Hayashi. As a kid, she was a part of a child's talent agency, and she appeared on some TV programs. She later had a dream to become a voice actor, and she got the role of Ayumi Hayashi in Wake Up Girls. She then also had some big roles in anime and games. On April 1st, Love Live released a teaser of a video game adaptation of Yohane the Perhelion, which fans were questioning if it was real or not, since they did make the anime adaptation into a reality. And that's really it for the April Fool's jokes, since there was always one on SIF, but it shut down a day before April Fool's. What wasn't a joke though, was that on April 30th, School Idol Festival All-Stars was announced to be shutting down. But to make up for the two most iconic games in the franchise shutting down, School Idol Festival 2 Miracle Live was released on April 15th. The expectations were high, but the fans were not happy. As someone who never played the original, I actually enjoyed the game, but there was a plethora of criticisms given by the fans of the games. The main criticism was that it was literally just a reskin of the original game, and it was a stupid decision to shut down both games for it. But hey, it could have been worse. Just look at Overwatch 2, am I right? On April 28th, the new members of Liella for the third season of the anime were announced. These were Ween Margaret and Tomari Onitsuka. By the way, to this day, people still have no clue if Ween's first name is Ween or Margaret. Yuna is the voice of Ween Margaret. She was a child actor when she was, well, a child, and she was in a band called Drop Doll when she was around high school age. Sakura Sakakura is the voice of Tomari Onitsuka. Again, her career started with Love Live, so there's not really too much info about her before. In June, the Yohane the Perhelion anime started airing, and Sunshine in the Mirror was treated like its own project, with all the marketing stuff that was released for it. The names for the characters were even technically different, being written in katakana and without any last names, and the seiyus even had to correct themselves after referring to the characters by their regular names. But hey, Kyan finally gets to call Yoshiko Yohane without getting attacked. Also, the game Blaze in the Deep Blue was confirmed to be in development. Nijigasaki was also announced to be getting a trilogy of movies to finish off their anime story, and we got this poster of them aura farming like crazy. One other thing that happened in June is that I watched Love Live for the first time, and that's when my descent into idol hell began. I had to include that because you all know how important to the Love Live franchise I am, right? Anyways, in July, Kyan, Mayuchi, and Sayurin appeared at Anime Expo together, and Muse did some live streams promoting School Idol Festival 2. Hasu had their first live in October, Blaze in the Deep Blue came out in November, and Niji had their 6th live in December. On December 9th and 10th, Love Live held a joint concert in collaboration with Idolmaster, the first time that Love Live would do a big concert collaborating with another idol franchise, especially their biggest rival. Before this live, they actually held a promotional mini-live that was a collaboration between Love Live, Idolmaster, Hololive, and Niji Sanji. They had Icon as Yoshiko, Eri Yukimura as Fuyuko Mayusumi from Idolmaster, Laplace Darkness from Hololive, and Dola from Niji Sanji, performing a couple songs. They also released a collab song including all the active leaders from Love Live, and these characters from Idolmaster. Sorry, I don't know anything about Idolmaster. Aqua also had a big live this month. While technically not being called their 7th live, this was a big one, and also the first under the Yohane the Perhelion name instead of Love Live Sunshine. The songs they performed were songs released under Yohane the Perhelion. On January 3rd, Love Live held a New Year's livestream with 2 members from all of the groups, and later in the month, Liella had their 5th live. February had some releases for games like Yohane the Perhelion's second game called Numazun the Mirage, and School Idol Festival 2's global release. However, what I didn't tell you is that in January, they announced the Japanese server would be shutting down at the end of March, less than a year after it released. And what's even worse than shutting down 2 beloved games for a mediocre sequel that didn't even last a year? Announcing the release date for the global version, and the shutdown of that global version in the same tweet. For some reason, they thought it would be a great idea to release the global version and then shut it down a couple months later like it was some sort of Costco sample of a game. In March, Love Live held another huge concert called Unit Koshien 2024, where Sierra, Azalea, Guilty Kiss, YYY, Saint Snow, Azuna, Quartz, Diver Diva, Rebirth, Kachu, Kaleidoscore, Synchronize, Sunny Passion, Cerise Bouquet, Delkistra, and Mirakura Park all performed in. So every active subunit and idol group. With a concert this big, of course not everyone could make it because Kinchan and Akarin were absent on both days. Unit Koshien wasn't the only big concert in March, because Muse had an orchestral live. For the 10th anniversary of the original anime, they held a special talk session in February, and an orchestra concert in March, which all of Muse except for Shikako, Nanjo, and Sora performed in. The second day of this concert was also the same day that SIF2 shut down in Japan, which basically marks the end of Muse's activities, since the only thing they were still active in was recording voice lines for the game. On April Fools, they revived the Puchiguru game, but only with the focus on Hasuno Sora. Although, I'm not really sure if this is a joke or not, since there's nothing really funny about it, and same with a lot of the other things I found when researching. I guess the biggest thing that they released this year was a parody of Koi ni Naritai Aquarium called Choi ni Naritai Chumcharium? I think that's how you would pronounce that? Where everyone's an otter, and instead of aqua, they're called rockwa? So basically just aqua with an R at the beginning. We also have a continuation of Chibigasaki, where they announced a board game for 2101. And the last notable thing is that they posted a YouTube video where they get like invaded by a monster, and they have to defeat it, or something, I'm not really too sure. In April, it was announced that more members would be joining Hasuno Sora, being Kozusu Kachimachi, Hime Anyoji, and Ginko Momose. Now, in June, it's the anniversary of the franchise, and when Aqua was announced. So, for the 9th anniversary, you might think that they're gonna announce some big news. Well, you're absolutely right. Aqua had a rather menacing livestream with all 9 of them, which was unusual at this point, since their activities were slower compared to how they were going before, so fans were terrified. And the fans' worst fears came true. Just like their predecessors, Muse, they announced in that livestream that they would be holding their final live in 2025. Fans, including me, were left heartbroken, just like how they were for Muse all those years ago. However, unlike Muse, this wasn't actually going to be the end of Aqua, and they wouldn't actually be disbanding, but instead they would just not be doing concerts together ever again. Side note, like a month before this, I was asking around about how long Aqua would even still be going for, and yeah, we were hit with this. It wasn't my fault, I promise. As sad as it is, Aqua has been going for almost a decade at this point, and we can't blame some of them for wanting to move on, or being too busy to take part in Love Live anymore. In other, more happier news, in July it was announced that Love Live would be holding a tour around Asia with members from all the groups, and in September, the theme song for the tour, Bring the Love, sung by all the leaders, well, almost all the leaders, with Yo replacing Chika since Anju wouldn't be part of the tour. A couple other big things also happened in September, being that the School Idol musical TV drama was announced. Kian, Rikako, and Fruity from Aqua performed at a convention in Spain, which I think is the first time they did anything outside of Asia or the US, and Numazu Jimo Eye Festival 2024 was held. And lastly, the first Nijigasaki movie was released. In October, Love Live Superstar Season 3 started airing, which is the first Love Live series to have a 3rd season. They also started the Asia tour in October, where they'd be doing performances in Guangzhou, Shanghai, Taipei, Seoul, and Yokohama until February. On November 17th, the music video for the song AQ Hours was released, which was Aqua's final single. And a month later, the song was officially released, and it became the first and only song from Love Live to get platinum certified. And we made it to 2025. I'm going to speed through this year since that's the year we're currently in. In January, Muse had a rerun of the orchestra concert, and the 102nd class of Hasuno Sora officially graduated, which is the first time members graduated for the purpose of the story. It was also confirmed that the 105 class would join with Ceres Yanagida Lilienfield and Izumi Katsuragi. And by the way, I think that's the first Love Live member to have a middle name. At the beginning of February, a new project was announced with a teaser of a crying girl named Love Live Bluebird, and nothing was really known for a couple months. For April Fools, a solo song from Kasumi that kind of reminded me of the insanity of Con Candy AAO was released, which, by the way, I don't think I ever mentioned in this video, and I think that was a pretty big meme at some point. And again, I'm not sure if the song from Kasumi was even a joke for April Fools, since I don't think it was really that funny. The only other thing I remember is this merchandise announcement where they claimed they were selling life-size seiyuu keychains, which I would have bought 1,000 icon ones, by the way. Around April, the subunit Ice Cream, the only subunit to have members from multiple groups, also had their first single go viral on TikTok, being probably the biggest meme in this time, and also the song itself also got pretty big. In May, the Love Live Bluebird project started with the Twitter account and YouTube channel. There was also a Twitter account for each character that the fans had to find, and at the current moment in time, we're still waiting on how the project will work, since the details about this came out literally while I was researching for this video. And that's where we are now. There is some things that I wanted to mention for June, hopefully when this video is coming out, which is that, of course, Aqua will be having their final live on the 21st and 22nd of June, and Aqua Club will be permanently ending at the end of June. And yeah, that's the entire history of Love Live, I guess. I said it again. But yeah, anyways, thank you for watching the video. I really hope you enjoyed it. This took me months to make. This is the longest and most time I've ever put into a video ever, so please do me a favor by liking the video and subscribing. And Again, I probably missed some things since this franchise has so much lore, so I apologize for that. But anyways, thank you for watching.